Well, Broncos Country, we have officially survived our very first week in 2025 without football. And it sucks. But you know what? We get to still talk plenty of football. We get to talk Broncos. There's plenty of news out there. We got guys incoming, still possibly guys outgoing. We'll see what's going to happen. But there's a lot to talk about Broncos Country. Welcome to this week's edition of the Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue podcast here on the Orange and Blue Network and on MHRT Network. Let's friggin' go.
Smooth, the pins to chew, breaking down plays about to debut. Never pride in every view, nothing rhymes with orange and blue. Bright lights of my heart in our view. Nothing rhymes with orange and blue. Nothing rhymes with orange and blue. Nothing rhymes with orange and blue. From draft picks to game reviews, celebrating wins, analyzing the clues. Nothing rhymes with orange and blue. Nothing rhymes with orange and blue. No orange and blue.
Nothing rhymes with Orange and Blue podcast.
What's up, Broncos Country? And how you doing, Orange and Blue crew? Welcome to this week's edition of the Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue podcast here on the Orange and Blue Network and on MHRT Network. I'm Johnny Baki, the Mile High Viking, and joining me as always in that beautiful Avalanche jersey over there is my cousin, my childhood best friend, and my co-host, Jay the Denver Dream Weaver. What's up, Jay?
How you doing there? Things are going good. I have upgraded my beer to Kona beer in lieu of Kona Broncos there.
Honor of Spence, huh?
Yeah, out with the Coors Light. We have officially upgraded. I see you've got your cerveza going. So it's a good night in the cold, blistering weather of the Midwest. So LFG.
In the South right now too, because right here in Nashville, we're about to get like 3 inches of snow tonight. So yeah, we're feeling that cold and all that too, man. Like, it's weird. It doesn't happen here that often. So kind of crazy.
It is. I mean, it's the same thing I hear about, like when Atlanta gets like an inch of snow and all hell breaks loose and their whole world is up in flames. And I'm sure it's the same thing when I say like we get like 5 inches. My buddy up in Minnesota is like, ha! Just wait till you get like 12 inches in one day, hey hole.
Yeah,
it's all
right.
relative.
No. Here in Tennessee, man, it just doesn't happen like this. So what happens here, man? Like we even get the threat of snow. Like it may be a 50% chance, but if there's a threat of snow, every school is closed. All businesses are closed. You try to go to I went tonight to try to go to the grocery store to like it was any other day for me because I don't care. I grew up in Colorado. Snow is snow. And I'm like, I just needed a loaf of bread and some milk. I walked in there. It was like the apocalypse in the grocery store. Like everybody has gone and bought out the shelves. Like they're going to have to survive for the next 50, the next 100 years in a bunker or something, like it's wild, man. When even the threat of snow hits us here. So
people go nuts. People do go nuts.
They do.
But as I'm sure you can attest, and as anyone out there in the crowd can attest that has kids, I just want them to go to school. No more snow days. No more e-learning days. Go to school.
Well, hey, my kids get them all the time because, like I said, they shut everything down, even if there's a threat. So it's like, oh God, I'm with you. Like I have to work tomorrow. I have to sit up my computer here at home and work, and my kids will be running amok, and I'll be like, "Shut up, you little heathens! You
Uh-huh.
know,
I get that horrible text message from the superintendent, and I just, you sons of bitches.
it's not
Damn.
even. We don't even get the text, man. We get a phone call. Like
Well, that's
it's a
nice.
recorded. It's a recorded message. It's like, this is the Thunder County
Sure.
school board. All schools and all offices will be closed tomorrow for da 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 da. So but I'm over it already, dude. I'm over it already.
Oh,
It
yeah.
hasn't even started yet. But anyway, guys, thank you for joining us tonight, the Nothing Rhymes, the Orange and Blue podcast. We are here. This is our network, the Orange and Blue Network. So please, if you have not already, or this is your very first time here, jump on over to all of our social media, like, subscribe, share, comment on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Check out the audio version of our podcast on all your favorite platforms. Hit that thumbs up, ding that little notification bell so that you know when we go live and you don't miss any of our shows. But we're also partnered with and simulcast on MHRT Network. So please jump on over to MHRT, like, subscribe, share, and comment on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, even on Instagram. So go check them out as well, guys. We greatly appreciate it. Woo! I did all that in one breath. I'm proud of myself.
I was going to say, I replaced our notification ding with a nice dry fart. So just so everyone's aware, the replacement is in.
So toot that little notification bell, Jay.
And you know what? Hey, dude, toots and farts will always be funny. There's a hot take right there. Like,
that's not a hot take, man. That's just fact.
I will always be 7 years old.
Yeah, fart jokes are funny in every language.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I stand on that.
Yeah, I sit on it, but
squat.
Yeah, All right. Now, that was a very, that was a winning segment. That was a dub right there.
Absolutely.
But the best way for our fans to get the dub tonight, besides, flatulence humor, is to jump on over to the sponsor of tonight's show. That's Dubby.gg. Dubby's Jitterless Energy Blend. Dubby is amazing stuff, you guys. It comes in a ton of delicious flavors, has all the caffeine you need to give you the kick in the pants to get started with your day and keep on going through it. All these amazing flavors with that caffeine, 2 cups of coffee worth of caffeine in every single cup of Dubby. That's awesome, right? But you don't get the jitters or the crash later because it has no sugar in it. It's nothing but amino acids, B vitamins, and nootropics, including their patented Neurofactor nootropic to help keep you sharp throughout your day. It also has no calories, no maltodextrin, no fillers, and no artificial colors. So it's as natural as it can be, and it's absolutely delicious, and it really gets you and keeps you going without the jitters or the crash later. So, guys, I'm telling you, you'll thank me later. Jump on over to the sponsor. Get yourself some Dubby. Jay and I both drink it. We both swear by it. Several of our fans have done so recently as well, and they will attest to it too. It is amazing stuff. So go get yourself the dub. The best way, though, to get yourself the dub is at the checkout. You're going to punch in code NRWOB10. That's NRWOB10 is going to get you 10% off your order. Guys, I'm telling you, try it. You will thank me for it later.
Absolutely.
So, Jay, it's been an interesting week for all of us.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say?
It has. I wanted to go veer off just real quick. I just wanted just a quick little segment here because I think it is worth telling about. Did you get to catch any of the Canadian USA hockey game on Saturday night?
Oh, buddy.
Oh my God.
I mean, I got US versus Russia 88 vibes.
Oh, yeah. It is one of those hockey games that I think I will always remember, at least for the start of it. Me and my boys started the game watching it, and I tried to explain to them, like, this isn't a video game. Like, you don't normally see in a real game 3 fights back to back to back to begin a game.
3 fights in 9 seconds, Jay.
DMAC on Altitude today basically said that was the most exciting start of any sporting event that he has ever seen in his entire life. And that actually really encapsulates what I thought about the game to begin, man, because you can't get better than a fight. Can't get better than a fight to begin a game, and you get three of them bangers right out of the gate, man. And I love sporting events that start out with a bang, especially exhibition games that, for all intents and purposes, don't mean anything. The NHL got it right with the Four Nation face-off.
It was all about pride. It was all about
absolutely.
Pride. But the thing is, because of now we always stay apolitical on this show. Everybody who's watched us for any amount of time knows we don't get political. However, there has been, for various reasons, a little bit of tension between the United States and Canada recently. And so what happened, for those that didn't catch it, was that the U.S. stood and respectfully listened to the Canadian national anthem. Nothing happened. But then the United States national anthem came on, and the Canadian fans started to boo. And I'm not just talking a little bit. I mean, it was loud, almost to the point where you couldn't even hear the song right. And it was a bad look. It was in bad taste, and it was embarrassing.
The game held in French Canada, in Montreal, that is Canada. Like, I know, like, you could say obviously Vancouver's Canada, but like, to me, that's not real Canada. Like, the French Canadian, Ottawa, Quebec City, Montreal, like that's like, to me, like real nationalist Canada.
That's like deep Canada.
So, dude, it was just such an awesome, I guess, stage for some nationality randomly, and I just enjoyed the hell out of it. And Thursday night's going to be such an interesting matchup, and I can't wait to watch it.
What is the U.S. and Finland, right?
No. Thursday night is Canada USA for the championship rematch.
That's right. Right. But I mean, I will say this: good on the USA after they got slighted. Now, Bonkers Broncos is popping and saying the fights were staged. Maybe not. But
the timing of them were. So a couple things I wanted to throw out there, Johnny. And yes, Bonkers Broncos, you are right in the fact of that they were premeditated. It's not staged necessarily, but they were premeditated for a couple of factors.
These guys planned to go out there and beat the shit out of each other.
Yes. The Tkachuk brothers are going off of their father's legacy that Keith Tkachuk, their dad, fought Claude Lemieux, former Avalanche, in, I believe, the 1996 Olympic Games.
Olympic Games. Mm-hmm.
So that is why the Tkachuk brothers started the game off with a fight. And I say that because I want to dispel the notion of that it had anything to do with the booze. I'm sure that didn't help. That just put fuel on the fire to it. But that fight sequence didn't happen because of the booze. That was premeditated before the booze happened. That was going to happen. So to your Bonkers Broncos, you're right. I mean, that was
it wasn't staged by the NHL, but it was for, like, when we think about the legal references, first degree murder, that's premeditated murder, right?
Yeah.
Like, this was first degree fighting. Like, those guys knew they were going to jump on the ice and go beat the shit out of someone.
The Chuck brothers knew that was happening.
Yeah. They but in any case, good on the USA for going out there after getting booed like they did by the Canadians and beating the crap out of them in the game in their own sport, in the Canadian sport. That felt good. It was awesome. Can we take a quick pivot? We'll get to football in a minute, guys. We'll get to all your comments, I promise. But let's just talk a little bit more about this week in sports. The All-Star game, NBA All-Star game.
Yeah, it was terrible.
It was garbage. I mean, really? They introduced.
Absolutely embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing in contrast to what hockey's been doing for an all-star weekend of Four Nations. Absolutely embarrassing. The NBA should just close up shop for all-star weekend. I mean, I know that there's a lot of critics for the NBA in general for anything they do, But my God, I couldn't
Dude.
stand to
Okay.
see a second of Kevin Hart. Couldn't stand to see a second of any of the riffraff that was non-basketball related in it. It's terrible,
Well, okay.
terrible TV.
First of all, I love Kevin Hart. All right.
Not for me.
But that's because, and you guys will never be able to unsee this. That's because when you look at my best friend, a host on this network, Isaiah, you look at how he looks, you look at how he moves, and even some of his mannerisms at times, you'll be like, holy crap, that's Kevin Hart. Like, just think about it, Jay. You've known him a long time now.
Yeah.
He's Kevin Hartish. And so I like Kevin Hart, but here's the thing. I thought nothing could be more embarrassing than the 200-point All-Star game last year.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
And and everybody was pissed, everybody was angry, and so the NBA was like, "Hey, let's introduce a new system. Let's do a tournament style. 4 teams, blah freaking blah."
Adam Silver loves tournaments.
And in theory, on paper, it should have worked. It should have. The problem is the players are still just not getting into it at all. It was so slow paced. There was no effort being put in by either side or by any of the players. They were just kind of jogging down the court as slow as possible.
Wants to be there.
Nobody wants to be there. And so, I mean, I wish I missed the days when the NBA All-Star game was played like a regular game and the players had the, what was it? The pride in it.
Yeah.
To go out there and put on a real show. They're not doing that anymore. And that's why, and so unfortunately, as much as it sucks, I agree with you, Jay. Like, do we even have to have an NBA All-Star game anymore? It's just not.
Nope.
I still love my Nuggets. I still love my basketball. But man, the All-Star game was a freaking joke.
It was. And just a special FU to the continued on-brand douchebaggery that is LeBron James for being a load management candidate for All-Star Weekend. Kick rocks, dude. I cannot wait till he is out of the league and he stops being so selfish. Dude, the All-Star picture of everyone in uniform and him deciding to stand out to get, again, more selfish attention upon him in street clothes in the middle of that photo should be embarrassing for him, but he's not aware enough to understand that that's embarrassing. I am so sick of LeBron James. I'm just over it.
If you're not going to play, you can at least dress. It's the All-Star game. Like, look at Giannis. Giannis Antetokounmpo did not play because he did not, but he was there and he dressed. And one last thing. Why? What the hell is with Shaquille O'Neal strutting down the aisle with a freaking dog robot that does a little like dance? Like, why? What was the point of that? It served absolutely no purpose to the intro, to anything.
Yeah.
It was just like, hey guys, they have these dog robots. Let's have one walk down the aisle with Shaq. Why? Had nothing. It was so stupid. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, I was going to say, I wanted a quick little snippet of that because I just needed to air that out because I had strong feelings about how the last weekend of sports went in highs and incredible lows. Hockey and basketball couldn't be on more opposite spectrums right now for me.
Which sucks because I love them both so much.
Yeah, but they're doing it wrong.
Yeah, wrong-o. But anyway, moving on. Let's get to some of our fans here because we've been going a while and we haven't addressed any of them yet. We got D-Rock in the house. First commenter says, dudes, if Sean Payton and George Payton goes wide receiver in the first round, would you be cool or would you be upset? That's an excellent question. I would not necessarily be upset. I think I'd be a little disappointed.
See, so the only way I think that actually happens is if somebody falls and you're looking at number 20 as best player available, and that just so happens to be the position at best player available. I don't think obviously you're trading up for a wide receiver. That's not going to happen. And if you trade back, I think it's the exact same scenario as best player available. If there's wide receiver that falls, then so be it. Are you going to stand there and say that if Luther Burden drops to 20, if McMillan from Arizona drops to 20, or really, honestly, even, oh God, what is his name? The Ohio State wide receiver, Abuka,
yeah, I know who you're talking about. I can't pronounce his name right off the top of my head. So
those would be the three prong that like I'd be all good with, but like I certainly don't want to reach for a wide receiver in that regard. But I'm not going to be upset if they go that route, because at the end of the day, that's a playmaker, and I will do a broad stroke statement of I want a difference maker on offense that is a playmaker in the first round.
Thing. I don't know if you saw any of the articles this week, but Sean Payton was talking about the diamond, the hidden gem in our wide receiver room this week. He actually addressed it, and it was Marvin Mims. He was straight up saying, this guy is going to be a lot more special than anyone thinks he's going to be. Just give it give us another offseason with him. And I believe it. I really do. The way that Marvin Mims woke up this season, once they finally figured out how to freaking use him, I really think that we're going to see we're going to see that particular player, Marvin Mims, light up the boards this next year. I'm very excited about it. I'm not saying he's going to be like, top 5 or anything, but I think he's going to be a lot more special than people think he's going to be. And so, I don't think we need to go wide receiver in the first round. I still want to go for, if we got a good BPA at that point, go tight end. Colston Loveland, who I actually like better than Tyler Warren the more film I've watched, by the way.
Ooh, that's a little hot. That's a little hot takey as well. And I know Isaiah holds that opinion. Isaiah is so high on Loveland.
No, I know that. And here's the thing. I wasn't until Isaiah started sending me film to watch.
Sure.
And I started watching that film, and I started analyzing Colston Loveland more and more and more. And I was like, yes, Tyler Warren has that wow factor for certain plays, but Colston Loveland is a great ball catcher. He's also a great run blocker, and he's a phenomenal pass blocker too. He's just a really well built all around tight end. And so ultimately, I would love that wow factor from Tyler Warren, which we will not be seeing on the Broncos. Let's just be freaking honest.
He ain't going to be anywhere near 20. And there are mocks that have him going to Denver at 20.
I know.
And obviously, if he's there, then that's a duh. Like, you draft Warren, you run to the podium if he's there, but he ain't going to be there. He's going to be a top 10 pick.
Right. But if he's not, you're right. If he's not, get him. But the point, like the more I watch Colston Loveland, the more I'm like, dude, he would be a difference maker in the tight end room for us with a lot of other skill sets on top of being the pass catching playmaker. And I like that. I really like that. So moving on, we got Shy Vargas in the house. What's up, Shy?
Yeah, pregame hype man. Let's go, Shy. Hype man.
What's up? 42-0 Broncos. That's right. That's I'll still never forget that. It's good to see you, Shy. We're glad you're here. We've also got Adon Diaz, a 6'10" Mexican in the house, going, J rules. Johnny's okay. All right, you know what? You're fired.
Appreciate you, Adon. Hype me up, man. Hype me up.
Even though we've already pulled up one of his comments previously, Bonkers Broncos in the house saying, what's up, weirdos? Hey, weird and proud to be so, my friend.
Yes, sir.
And I would love to point out that in the words of our dear friend Kenny Booker, I am, exercising my right to bear arms tonight.
I was going to say, I don't remember buying a ticket to the gun show, Johnny. I didn't sign my waiver, my disclaimer.
Hey, I might be a fat guy, but these guns don't lie, bro.
It's too cold. Too cold.
No, not for this guy. I love the cold. I'm always too hot. So when it's
That's
cold
why I'm
like
in a
this,
hoodie and a sweater. I got double layers going on here, and a space heater on my feet.
Well, see, you take after our grandmother. I take after our grandfather.
Yeah, I have terrible circulation.
I am like, I'm always blistering hot. So when it's cold like this out, I'm like, I'm in my comfort zone, bro. Like, I took my son to school this morning, and he's all bundled up. I was wearing a pair of, basketball shorts and slip-on sandals, with a t-shirt, and his teacher must have looked at me like I had, lobsters crawling out of my ears. Cause like, she was like, are you crazy? I'm like, no, I'm comfortable.
Cray,
She's like,
cray.
it's 20,
You cray, cray.
like it's 27 degrees. I'm like, I know, isn't it great?
Yeah. That's nuts.
We got my buddy Michael Yost in the house, also showing off his guns there in his picture, saying, "What's up, boys? Snow day, bases closed. I'm excited. Jay, go get a banquet."
Hey, I'm not above a banquet. I love me a banquet. It's always banquet time, so I'm all good. I'm all good with that.
That's right. That's right. We got David Yonkin in the house saying, "Since Higgins is off the books, and I always thought he was out of our price range, I think Godwin would be a better fit for the new culture." I could not agree more.
In the premium selection of free agent wide receivers, Godwin is the guy. But I still am not going to be unhappy if we settle for a Swiss Army knife Cooper Kupp. I still love me some Cooper Kupp. I think he would be fantastic in the rhythm offense. But you know, I'm all good with Chris Godwin if it happens. But we'll see.
Hey, Chris Godwin's my guy, dude. I want Chris Godwin so bad I can taste it. Like the way that Isaiah is in the draft for Colston Loveland, that's how I'm salivating over the prospect of getting Chris Godwin on this team.
Yeah.
I want Godwin so bad.
It would be interesting to see where he would be placed in this offense. If he would go to a slot where he was for some years in Tampa Bay, where he was most successful in Tampa Bay, or if we would force him outside and put, you know, Franklin, Mims, all the other players we have for that slot in that position. It'd be just weird where Godwin would fit, I think, schematically on our offense. So,
but here's the thing. I know you said that Cooper Kupp's a Swiss Army knife. So is Chris Godwin. I mean, yes, he performed best when he was in the slot, but he can perform anywhere.
He can.
And so, you know, he's such a good player. He's tried and tested. He's proven. I think that if you get the chance to get him, you get him.
I think he'll be more expensive than Cooper Kupp. I think I would say that.
Maybe a little, but you know, I mean, right now everybody's screaming at me because screaming at us about our takes on, you know, these X Factor playmakers, and you know, if there's one there, to me, Chris Godwin's one of those. I'd go get him, and agreeing, I agree wholly with David Yonkin here that for the current culture in this, you know, that this team has built, he is a perfect fit. He is unselfish. He is a team player. That kind of stuff, you know, you can't put a price tag on that.
There's certainly a lot worse fits.
From
a culture standpoint, for sure.
I mean, can you imagine bringing Keenan Allen in here?
Can you imagine Stephon Diggs?
Oh, gross.
No.
Gross.
No. Big no.
Oh, disgusting.
Yep. Can we skip a beat here? I'm going to skip real quick here. Sure. David Yonkin coming back in with no Hill. Taysom Hill with a rumor coming out today saying the Saints are going to cut bait. It's too expensive for their blood. They got to get out of that contract. So Taysom Hill's going to come out there. He's old. He's worn. He's injury prone. He is a joker. He is the original Peyton Joker. In the true form of what he's talking about out there. What do you think of Taysom Hill?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not against it. I'm also not like pounding the table for it either. You know, because to your point, yeah, he's a joker, so I'm not against that. You know, he is that player.
He fits the mold, obviously.
He can play any position, and yes, there is that familiarity with him and Sean Payton. But then, of course, to your other point, he's old at this point.
Injury prone.
He's injury prone, and I mean, even with our awesome training staff now that is keeping guys a lot healthier, I don't know that I want to bring a guy who at times has been a walking Band-Aid into this room.
Yeah.
And onto this team right now. So
yeah.
Take the good with the bad. If it happens, it happens. I'm not gonna like, no, it happened.
I don't think anyone's going to be surprised. I mean, I don't think anyone's going to be surprised if we pick the flyer up for him, because at the end of the day, can Sean Payton help himself? Can he help himself bringing in his guy, his pet project? Like,
that's the question.
The arrogance of Sean Payton and being like, dude, this is my guy. I know he knows what I want out of him, and I know that he can teach others what I want out of them. And even if we do draft a youngster, even if it's Warren, even if it's Loveland, Taysom Hill could be a valuable leader to teach the youngsters how Sean Payton envisions their position on the team. So I wouldn't be opposed to Taysom Hill, but it's got to be for like a vet minimum or like hardly any money. And I can't imagine there's like a row of teams ready to pay him. There ain't going to be like a whole list of suitors.
I can't either. I mean, he's on the back end of his career.
Absolutely. He's hurt constantly.
He's over the hill, so to speak. So kind of like, and the same thing goes. Another one. We're going to keep getting your comments, I promise you, but I'm going to caveat off of this onto another one that coming out about, the Bills possibly cutting Von Miller after the, in this offseason. And the Broncos country going that shit.
Berserk.
Over bring him back. I'm like, no. I love him. I have my Von Miller jersey hung right over there where I can see it right now with the Super Bowl 50 patch. I love Von Miller. He is Denver forever. But the dude is on the back end of his career. We have right now a really impressive pass rushing duo. I don't want to screw with that. You don't want to screw with that. Those two have chemistry now. And to bring Von back would be great. It'd be nostalgic. It'd be awesome to see him back in the orange and blue, but he's not the guy right now with these two guys, with Jonathan Cooper and Nick Bonito doing what they're doing. We don't want to screw with that chemistry
now
by tossing someone else in.
What I would say is if he gave us a homie hookup where he wanted to come back to Denver so bad that he is going to give us a hometown discount he wants to get back on the team no matter what, I would be all in favor of it. But
with Sean Payton.
No, and that's exactly where I was going, Johnny. It's the exact same reason Justin Simmons is not on this team, ladies and gentlemen, is because we are moving past that culture. The past is done and cooked. Sean Payton does not want to relive the past. He wants his own identity, his own team.
I mean, and let's be honest.
Who can blame him?
Sean Payton has no connection to Von Miller.
Zero.
The only connection. Now, Von Miller has connection to Broncos country, the fans.
Obviously.
But literally, there is only one guy left on this team right now who played at the same time Von Miller played on the Broncos. And that's Garrett Bowles. That's the only guy still on this team. There's absolutely now to Alex Smith's point that he threw out there right here. The only way he comes back is to retire. And he will.
1-day contract.
He will. We know he will. He has straight up told the world, even when he's been on other teams, I am a Bronco through and through for all my life.
Very true.
He will come back here. He will sign a 1-day contract, and he will retire a Bronco. But he's not coming back to play, people.
100%. 100%. I don't want to take snaps away from Nick Bonito on a contract year either. At the end of the day, I want to see every single look possible for that man. I don't want any sort of reason to get him off the field unless he needs to. And I think it would be all too tempting for a vet like Vaughn to want a certain amount of snaps. And we just don't need that. Johnny, do you still have a drink in that bottle there?
I do. Because we have a new name in the chat.
We
Glass.
do. Glass.
Here's to you. Welcome to the Orange and Blue crew. Cheers.
Hey to you, Glass. Hey, hey, hey.
hey. But all right. A couple more comments here, and then we got a topic I want to get to. But I've actually found the perfect comment to caveat to it, and that would be coming from our buddy Shy Vargas. What do you think about the coach we got from the Saints? So tonight's show is literally titled "Puttin' on the Rizz." Just a throwback to "Puttin' on the Ritz." But of course, Shy Vargas is referring to the Denver Broncos signing of special teams coordinator Darren Rizzi. Jay, why don't you kick us off on this? How are you? How much research have you done on Darren? How are you feeling about Darren Rizzi being our special teams coordinator?
I think you can never be unhappy about more coaching experience on your staff that has head coaching experience, that has the experience to know what he's doing day one, that already has symmetry with your current staff. I think he's going to come in and know exactly what his role is in the world of Sean Payton. I think it's a seamless transition. I think it's going to be only positive for this team. Not saying that our special teams has been terrible, but we've definitely, at least the second half, when Westhoff retired, I guess, is that what we're saying? He retired mid-season?
Mike Westhoff retired.
Retired.
And that's actually the point I was going to get to right there, but you continue.
No, I was just going to say, just when he retired, we shit the bed. I mean, things went to hell. And so we have a high standard for that department, because that usually, especially with the kickoff rules that they are now, is always a neutral or a net negative. Very rarely is that a net positive for a team. It can really only hurt you. And so you only want to be just neutral. It's kind of like the NBA bench of just, hey, just don't crap the bed while you're on the court. Just let's be even. And then let the starters come back and build the lead back up. That's kind of like what special teams is for the NFL nowadays. So we have the perfect coach to do that.
Absolutely. And I mean, looking at it this way, okay, let's get a little bit into Darren Rizzi real quick, okay? So he has been with the Saints since 2019. But before that, he had, in total, the dude has 30 years. Yeah. Coaching for over 30 years, including 16 of those 30 in the NFL. He's been, let's see, this is a cool stat, through 2023, okay? That's the best way to look at it, because 2024 was kind of a weird year for him, because, between
interim head coach
coordinator and the interim head coach when Dennis Allen was fired from the Saints. So just going through 2023, his units were in the top half of the annual special teams ranking in 12 of the 13 seasons he served as a special teams coordinator. Ooh. And in the last, his special teams ranked in the top 5 in the rankings in 4 of the 5 seasons between 2019 and 2023.
Ah, damn.
So, yeah. So, 4 out of 5 seasons since he took over for the Saints, when he was with Sean Payton, his special teams units were top 5 in 4 out of the 5 years. And at least in the top half for 13 of those, or for 13 years. So this guy is very special. He's coached with the Miami Dolphins. He's coached with the Saints. He's been around the block, man. He's been around a while. Go ahead.
The biggest part of special teams on our team, he's already familiar with, Will Lutz.
Yes. And here's the thing. Mike Westhoff was the godfather of special teams. And that's why in the first, up until November, our special teams was top notch. We were the best special teams unit in the NFL for a good stretch there. But then, Mike Westhoff, God bless him. Like I said, the godfather of special teams. And I mean godfather because the dude wasn't a young guy. Okay. He's an old guy. He decides it's time to hang it up. I'm retiring for real this time. Ben Kotrica steps in. He does his best, but it just wasn't his, time to be the guy calling special teams. And it was obvious, not all the time, but there was just there's a couple of the blunders that happened. There was the fact that the Chiefs were able to capitalize on us on that blocked field goal, figuring out where to stack the box against Alex Forsythe and get a blocked field goal to win that game. And then, of course, you go, a little bit further forward to December, and you got the loss to the Chargers. That meant that they swept us for the first time since 2010. Ugh.
Boo.
Where Traymon Smith ran into the punt returner and caused the first successful what's it called, free catch kick in over 48 years.
Bruh.
So it's these kind of things that were just the nail in the coffin of Ben Kotwicka. Now enter Darren Rizzi, who is in a much bigger position. You know, the guy has been a head coach, an interim head coach. He's got head coaching experience. Before he was special teams, he was an offensive coordinator in the NFL. He was with the Miami Dolphins. Did you know that, Jay?
I didn't know that.
For a while, he was an offensive coordinator as well. And then like we've already stated, he has had a top half of the league, special teams unit for 12 of the last 13 years, and over the last 6 years, four out of the last 6 years, he had a top 5 special teams unit. So, and he's coming in with not only Will Lutz, that experience, but let us not forget that even though they have no connection to each other and no experience with one another, he's coming in to coach a Pro Bowl returner who is the best returner in the NFL right now in Marvin Mims. So, and all pro. He's all pro as well. So these, yeah.
Broncos season ever.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so much about this signing of Darren Rizzi to be excited about. I'm going to check. Let me check here. We got David Yonkin bouncing. He says, later, guys. See you, Dave. Have a good night, man. And hope you have a good one. We got Fanatic. This is another new name in the house, Jay. Fanatic Dak.
So
saying, what's up, guys?
I am familiar with Dak's work. I have been following him on Twitter or on X. He has been a Bronco fanatic out there for quite some time. He's been very active in the X community. So, Dak, fantastic to have you there, sir. Appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, it's definitely good to see you here, Dak. And if you haven't already, please like, subscribe, share, comment. We appreciate you. But here's to you. Cheers. Welcome to the Orange and Blue crew. Okay, we got Kona Spence popping in the house for the first time tonight saying, I am the godfather of a very special team. That the same team as Jay Weaver, the Kona Consumption Special Team.
I brought the heat today, Spence. I brought the heat today. No more Coors Light. Out with the old, in with the new. Let's go.
He did it for you, Spence. He made sure to tell me that.
Absolutely, I did. Pre-podcast, I was like, this one's for Spence.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, Fanatic Dak says, I got you guys. Hey, the only Dak I really like.
That's true.
I do not like Jack, and I do not like Dak Prescott. So, but anyway, it's good to have you here. We're glad you're here, Kona Spence. Yes,
appreciate you. Absolutely. Less syrupy. It's so much better. I mean, obviously, goes without saying.
And this is my first beer on the air since November. Early November.
That's big stuff right there.
It's my only one. I really cut back on my drinking, but tonight I just decided I want a cold one. So I'm having one.
A cold day in February? Throw it up.
Hey, it doesn't matter what day it is. Anytime's a good time for a cold beer. I could be dying, like freezing to death up at the North Pole, like praying to God that, just end it now, and stumble across a cooler of beer, and I'm going to crack one open.
I would think post-Christmas, Santa's probably on a bender right now. I mean, he's probably doing pretty well for himself.
I think Spence is Santa.
Might be. The California Santa.
Yeah.
There you go.
So anyway, back to what we were talking about. Darren Rizzi is the new special teams coordinator. He's also going to be the assistant head coach.
Which I want to say one real quick thing that I think that's an interesting tidbit of information. For that title to be assigned on this staff means that until he leaves, that title cannot be given to someone else, i.e. Vance Joseph. In a promotional sense, that was the one safety net we had to if Vance Joseph did get picked off from some other team, we could always offer him that slot, that title to keep him here. That's gone now.
But
that
it's
one
gone.
wild card's gone.
I don't think that is in any way indicative of what's going on.
I agree.
I think it honestly just comes down to Sean knows Darren Rizzi better. He
It's
coached
just
for them
noteworthy.
longer.
It's noteworthy.
It is noteworthy. It is definitely noteworthy, but I don't think that it's indicative of anything. It doesn't indicate anything. It just,
I agree.
Sean knows Rizzi. He trusts Rizzi. And and let's be honest, Rizzi has more coaching experience at the NFL level than Vance Joseph does. So I can see why he would be given that title.
Yeah. I get it.
So,
I get it. Just interesting.
It is. Okay, and then another interesting tidbit for the night. Rick Dennison. Former Bronco. Well, actually, I mean, the guy had, goodness, the dude has so much history with the Broncos. Rick Dennison played linebacker for the Broncos in the 80s. He then bounced in and out through multiple times at different positional coach positions for the Broncos. Most recently with the Broncos, however, he was employed as the Broncos offensive coordinator under Gary Kubiak.
He's a Kubiak crony. He was even with Clint in Minnesota. He has been with the Kubiak system pretty much his entirety of the NFL coaching. I get that now.
Well, I mean, he even was with Gary before Gary Kubiak signed with the Broncos to head coach us to our Super Bowl victory in 2015. Houston. He was with him in Houston.
Yep.
So he was a Kubiak guy for sure.
Yep.
But anyway, he was with the Broncos. He was our offensive coordinator when we won the Super Bowl with Peyton Manning in 2015. And then he was with us for one more season that following year when Gary Kubiak decided to hang it up and retire. And after that, he left the league, and now he's back. And he has been picked up as the offensive coordinator of the Seattle Seahawks.
Which is so strange because that is not what that team is set up to be. They have been the slingshot shotgun kind of offense that is throwing it around the yard with Geno, and that is not what the Kubiak system is. That's behind center, that's play action, that's run first football. Mm-hmm. That is not what Seattle is, at least personnel wise. I mean, like
Smith, that is not a good fit. So I'm not sure what they're thinking. I'm not sure what they're thinking.
Huge change of tide for Seattle if that's the case.
And Bonkers Broncos saying he was definitely a Kubiak crony. Rick Dennison wasn't a great coordinator.
I agree.
However, he was our coordinator when we won a Super Bowl. So he does have some hit, and he was a Broncos player. He was a linebacker, by the way, if you didn't know. It's kind of funny. He played linebacker, but then went on to be an offensive coordinator. But anyway, he a lot of history with the Broncos. So congratulations to him getting back in the league, and we'll see what he can do up in Seattle. Maybe he can change some things. I don't know. But I just thought it was noteworthy that he's back in the NFL.
He's definitely of the Broncos ill. He's in the club.
We got Shy Vargas popping back in saying, "Who is the next Broncos defensive coach?" Well, that depends, buddy. Are you talking about like to fill, say, the linebackers coach spot, or are you talking about like a defensive coordinator? Because right now we're not in any position to be even really considering the next defensive coordinator because we still have Vance Joseph at least for another year. So let me know what you're meaning by that. As far as linebackers coaches go, I have no idea if that's who you're talking about.
First, we got to get some linebackers on the roster.
Right.
Which is a whole nother subject that I would like to broach because there have been a wide variety of thoughts in the linebacking perspective pool here of free agents. I know we've talked about Bond from the Eagles.
Yeah.
Nick Bolton from Kansas City is a name that has been floated multiple ways from the Broncos, and a lot of different people are targeting him because they don't think Kansas City can pay him.
Well, I mean, look, Kansas City's golden era is ending, man. Like they're getting to a point now where they got to start paying some dudes some big money.
Well,
and that means moving on from other players.
They gave Travis Kelce a deadline, hard deadline. I want to say it's the 10th of March, right before free agency, of like, dude, you need to make your decision of if you're retiring or not, because it is a massive change for them if they don't sign Kelce and Kelce's gone and that money's freed up for them. Nick Bolton would probably be their very first, signing back up. Yeah. Because he is integral in their defensive scheme. Like,
he absolutely is.
And
he's a beast.
He's a great player. I would be over the moon if we could sign him for inside linebacker. That would solve so many issues. I would honestly rather probably have him than Zach Bond, in my opinion, because he is more consistent and has done it for more years than Zach Bond. Zach Bond's kind of a one-hit wonder. Although the one hit is pretty dang good, I just,
he won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, but with that defensive line, how can you really judge what a inside linebacker really does?
Right.
So Nick Bolton, man, that would be amazing to get sewn up.
It would. I'm not going to sit here though and think it's going to happen. I don't think Travis Kelce.
I don't think it will
this year.
Yeah.
I mean, so it is possible, I guess. But I mean, honestly, I don't think Kelce's retiring. I don't think he's ready for Taylor Swift to write a breakup song about him.
Dude, full with Tay-Tay. Oh, yeah. Dude, he's got to keep his job. Have an outlet.
He's going to be the next. I mean, it's going to happen, dude. Eventually, I mean, it's Taylor Swift, dude. He's going to be the next teardrops on her guitar at some point.
I would imagine so. Her next Tim McGraw.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but in any case, I mean, that would be a great that would be a great person to get at that position. But I don't know if I see it happening.
Well, as we talked about last week, free agency is all about the defensive side of the ball, in our opinion.
Yes, it is.
That's where we need to focus our mentality in free agency, and we need to focus in on draft picks for the future to line up with the timeline of Bo Nix on the offense. So, man, I'm all for looking at vet options for. Obviously, we've got the holes of safety, which we went over last week of Jeremy Chin. Yeah, but inside linebacker and then interior defensive line. And I want to throw out a new name as well for interior defensive line, even though we did also say, and I still agree, that to have a true game-changing inside presence on the line, you probably need to draft because those guys don't become available. Because you lock those guys up if those truly are huge playmakers on the defensive line. But
same with offensive line.
True. Same with offense. Same with a left tackle.
When it comes to the trenches, when it comes to the trenches, dude, you lock them down, you keep them. That's why everybody who's been like, trade Garrett Bowles. I'm like, no, don't do it.
You can find guards and centers in free agency, but you're never going to find a tackle. That's just a scarcity, and that's why everyone was like, McGlinchey, are you sure? And 49er fans laughed at us when we gave him all that money because he was not good with San Francisco.
I would love to point out that after the season was over, after the Super Bowl, the lists came out of top 10s for different positions for different stat lines, and and pressures given or pressures surrendered tackles in the NFL. Both our boys, Garrett Bowles and Mike McGlinchey, were in the top 10.
McGlinchey's outplayed himself. He's overperformed. He has played very well for himself. I will say that.
Yes, he has.
So this is the name I want to throw out. That I've been looking at, top 50 free agents out there. The targets for other teams that maybe have been under the radar that we really haven't taken a look at. Cincinnati Bengals have a lot of free agents on the defensive side of the ball. Mm-hmm. B.J. Hill, defensive tackle, DT. He is a big boy that is going to be a free agent. They have Trey Hendrickson as well that is wanting more money and that wants to be re-signed, that has been a baller. And they're out of money, man. Like, the Bengals are a classic case of, like, they have performed well enough to pay their key guys, and their key guys have performed so well that, like, they're almost crippling the rest of their team. And I think B.J. Hill would be a nice cap casualty. According to Bleacher Report, B.J. Hill is number 21 out of 50 for free agents available. So somewhat middle of the pack, kind of an under the radar. He would honestly be very comparable to when we got DJ Jones, where DJ Jones was in the value of free agent from San Francisco is kind of where BJ Hill is currently. So I just kind of feel like that's not something that's going to be like a game changer for our defense, but it would be a great hole to plug in a free agent sense to just at least get someone in if we're not going to re-sign DJ Jones.
Fair enough. And back to linebacker, I mean, you mentioned Nick Bolton. I mean, he's set to be a free agent. It's a possible, and if, as we already stated, if Travis Kelce, decides to retire and some other, pieces of the puzzle fall into place at the right places, he would be a great dude to pursue. But I mean, you also got Drake. Don't forget, you got Dre Greenlaw. He's going to be,
Yes, some injury to that.
Some, but I mean, most of these guys have had some injury at some point.
This is true.
It's not. And of course, we've already talked about them the last few weeks. I mean, Bobby Wagner,
And speaking of the Bengals, Jermaine Pratt, an inside linebacker, requested a trade from the Bengals, and that would be another candidate. Again, like, I just see the Bengals as a team that is hemorrhaging talent because they are so fixated on paying their skill players. We just recently heard T. Higgins is going to get the franchise tag. That's going to be astronomical amount of money for their two wide receivers. To have Higgins and Chase, it's not sustainable. That's not a recipe for success. But
for a minute how many teams were ready to pursue the Higgins thing. I mean, literally.
That's what scared them, probably. That's what scared them into just tagging him and kicking the can down the road for a year. They're not going to sign him next year. They're just giving it one more year to let Joe Burrow have his guys. One more year, go try and get a championship. But it's over next year.
It's not going to happen.
Well, I mean, Joe Burrow put up MVP numbers last year, man. Like, they were a team that underperformed, obviously.
But unless something, as you put it, the same term, but in a different way, astronomical happens with their defense, dude, they've got no chance of pushing to a Super Bowl.
And they're going to lose a lot on defense, obviously. We just named two players right out of the gate, and Trey Hendrickson is not going to, probably play under his current terms. He's asking for more money, so
and he's
a lot
worth
of changes on that side of the ball. He is worth it.
And they had an abysmal defense this season.
They did.
It just in
other
general.
than him.
So, other than him. So I don't know. I mean,
you're right, though.
We'll see when it comes to linebacker. We'll see. And Shy, he confirmed what he was asking about the next Broncos defensive coach. He met Broncos defensive coordinator, and simply, buddy, it is too early to say. I mean, we're nowhere near where we even need to be looking at that. We got Vance Joseph for at least one more season, possibly more, depending on whether or not he gets picked up for a head coaching gig somewhere else. He interviewed this year. Some people might say that he was what's that law? The
Rooney Rule.
Yeah, the Rooney Rule. Thank you. Some people might say he was the Rooney Rule for a lot of teams. Others might just, but honestly, I just don't think that he was a right fit for anybody. There's enough film of him as a head coach previously out there that I don't know if anybody's really ready to go for that. I mean, look at what was his name? Adam Gase.
Yeah.
Look at how it was, he was our head coach for a minute, and then
Peyton Manning got him the job for the Jets, and then he just squandered that opportunity badly.
Look at how long it takes some of these guys to recover from a bad head coaching, the bad head coaching showing. Some of them, some of the guys, a lot of them, I don't have all the names right off the top of my head, but a lot of them, it takes 10, 13, 14 years to get their second shot at head coach. I don't know that VJ's ready, anybody's ready to give that chance to VJ again just yet. So, I mean, we probably, as long as things continue to go the way they have for us defensively, which, I mean, no complaints. Defensively, we've been phenomenal, under VJ, especially this last season. We had some struggles towards the end of the season, maybe, but, I still think that he is going to do good things for this team. I don't think there's, unless he gets picked up for head coach, which he's not this season, it's there. Who knows who's even going to be available the next time we have to look at a defensive coordinator?
Yeah.
So it's just too early to say, my friend.
But don't get it twisted, Shy. Like, if we are a top 5 defense again this year, we will have the same discussions next year. He'll get more and more interviews, and we'll talk about would we rather have 2/3 for VJ? Like, get rid of him and promote Jim Leonard? Like, Jim Leonard stuck around for a reason, because if, a DC was on the fence this year, it's not like he's magically going to solidify himself in another year when he just had a career year. So there's a reason he stuck around. So
there is.
We'll see.
We'll see. That's all we can say is it's too early to tell. I'm not even going to pretend, or I'm not even going to attempt to speculate at it.
Yeah.
But we can always keep our eyes open for good names and dudes who are doing good things in the NFL. So I mean,
yeah. So Johnny, I would like to go. Do you have another topic, or can we pivot once more?
No, so, pivot away.
We talked about wide receiver, if that's going to be a thing for first round, and I think that's super outside the realm of possibility. Like, it would be cool, I think that would be splashy, if you will, but probably unlikely. And, all the mocks say that we're going with Loveland. I mean, I think that is predominantly the number one mock to Denver is Loveland at 20. But what are your thoughts on the running back position? Have you given any more thought as we've continued down the road of where the Broncos get a running back in this draft?
No higher than the second or third round. No higher than day 2. I'm sorry.
But I guess... But not even that. But do you have a specific candidate in mind? Do you have a person you're looking at that maybe has changed in your mind?
Again, a ton of mock drafts that I've been seeing, and I actually haven't done any yet this year, but I need to get on that. But a ton of them I've been seeing show Ashton Genty falling to the Broncos at 20.
It's not going to happen.
I don't see it. It's not going to happen, and even if it did, I don't know if I'd want to go a running back at 20 overall.
I saw one mock that had Loveland go at 20 with Genty available. With Genty available, we still went Loveland.
Yeah, I mean,
I thought that was interesting.
And here's the thing. Okay. See, and that's how I would do it. Now,
that's how I would do it too.
I'm not the coach. I say this all the time. I'm not the coach. I'm not the general manager. The Broncos keep rejecting my requests. But but if it were me in that situation, even if Ashton Genty is available at 20, if Colston Loveland is available at 20, I'm taking Colston Loveland.
I would agree.
The reason is, yes, the two areas of greatest need on the Broncos offense is tight end and running back. There is no question about that in anyone's mind, is there?
Well, there are some. There's some cray-cray people out there in Bronco Twitterverse that think that tight end should not be a priority, which is cray-cray in my opinion. But
I don't know what games they've been watching.
I don't either. I don't either. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Bronco says mock drafts are lame. I agree.
Well, they are.
It's still a fun thing to do for our show over
February.
the off season. Yeah, it's still a little early. But here's how I'm going to look at it. Okay, even if Ashton Genty fell to us at 20, if Colson Loveland's on the board, I'm taking Colson Loveland. And here is why. The thing about the tight end position is a game-changing tight end. I'm not saying like the Brock Bowers type, because there isn't a tight end in this class that is Brock Bowers level. There just isn't. Now, is Tyler Warren great? Yeah. Is Colson Loveland great? Yeah. They're not Brock Bowers level, but they would be a difference maker on this team. Those are rare. They're hard to find. And in the first round, that's your most premium pick. Yeah. I mean, that is the pick that is your future. Right? Like that pick is truly your future.
Yep.
And Bonkers Broncos. February is lame too.
It is the shortest month. It's the short bus month of all 12 months. I mean, let's be honest.
Hey, be careful, Jay. Both your parents are born in February. Anyway.
Well, true. Touche.
But anyway, that is your premium pick. That is your future. And running back as a position. I love the running back position. I played running back. Well, I played halfback, but it's the same damn thing. I love that position. But the fact of the matter is, some of the, you can get great running backs in later rounds.
The deep class.
Even in years where the running back position is not deep, you can still get good, even great running backs in later rounds. And let's be honest, not that I like to say this, because all the respect to the guys who do it, who play the position, who don't do what I did and play it past high school, all the respect in the world to them. Running back is a dime a dozen. And it is it's one of those positions that wears out quickly and disappears.
Well, to that point, Johnny, do you need the 5th-year option on a player that in a positional group only lasts 4 years?
3 to 4 years.
That 5th-year option's a massive difference in the first round.
Absolutely.
Getting that extra year.
That's an excellent point. That is an excellent point. And honestly, like looking at some of the best running backs out there that have played the game, in the last 10 years, Derrick Henry, Frank Gore, some of these guys, like those guys are, running backs that last as long as those guys haven't played at the level that they are. That's an anomaly. That is not one of those things that happens all the time. But tight ends, however, they play, they play a lot of years. They have a lot more tread on their tires, so to speak. A playmaking tight end is harder to find. You can find a great running back in rounds 2, round 3, maybe even round 4 of the draft. But you're not going to find a tight end that is going to change that room in those rounds. So I'm going tight end at 20. If he's available at 20 and both those guys are there, I'm taking the tight end. And then I might go get my favorite running back in this draft, possibly, if he falls that far, Devin Neal in the 2nd round. If we could get Colson Loveland and Devin Neal in the same draft, I would be in hog heaven.
Neal will be there in the 3rd. I will say that. There are enough Marion Hampton, Caleb Johnson, Henderson from Ohio State. There are numerous running backs that it is so deep that will have immediate impacts in this NFL that, man, it would be foolish to take a running back in the 1st round this year. That's my opinion, and that's honestly why I think Genty will slide. I think Genty will slide.
I would say this. When you say it's foolish, I don't think it would just be foolish for the Broncos. It would be foolish for any team to take a running back in the 1st round. Unless
you don't have a 2nd or don't have a 3rd. If you're a team profiled to pick, and that's a need, obviously. But I just, with as deep as this class is, even someone like an Ollie Gordon from Oklahoma State that could be like a 4th, 5th round draft pick, man. He could be a fringe starter in the league. Mm-hmm. There are so many running backs with potential in this draft that I can't think of a previous draft that is deeper.
we've talked about it. Free agency, we think the Broncos are going to hit heavily on defense and do a lot of addressing of the offense in the draft. I wouldn't be surprised if the Broncos didn't double dip at running back.
Well, that's exactly my point, Johnny, of like, that is why it infuriates me of Broncos Country wanting a veteran running back signed in free agency. That makes no sense to me of how deep this class is. Go double dip on tight ends and go double dip on running backs. Those are the two positions you need the most of, and those are the two positions that, is, say, a crapshoot in the draft. Go get two of them. Why not?
And here's the thing.
We need depth for both of those positions.
And here's the thing. At wide receiver, we don't need to draft a wide receiver this year.
We don't need depth for that. We don't need
depth. We might need one X factor kind of wide receiver. And I fully believe that they're going to pursue every avenue they can in free agency to get a wide receiver, to get a linebacker, and to get a defensive lineman in free agency.
If you want to draft a 4th round wide receiver, Jimmy Horn, even Torrey Horton from Colorado State. If you want to draft a project, you go for it. But there is no reason to be focusing on that position. And I guess
as it stands,
I say that in the same breath of like what we just discussed in the beginning of the podcast of if XXX wide receiver drop in the first round, would you draft him in the first round? No. It's hard pressed for me to say you would or wouldn't. I've said all along this entire offseason, if you have a potential to draft a number 1 wide receiver, the Luther Burdens, the McMillans of Arizona, the Oklahoma or the Ohio State wide receiver, they could legitimately be the number 1 wide receiver for your team for years to come, then you don't pass that up at 20.
No,
but
I don't think any of those guys are falling that far.
I don't think so either. But if you don't get that, then you don't draft them until like the 4th or 5th round.
I would even venture to say that at 20, even if one of those guys, Luther Burden, I mean, you know me, I'm high on Luther Burden, always have been. But even if Luther Burden falls there, if, say, God, I know it's not happening. Somehow Tyler Warren was available, or, again, back to Colston Loveland is available. At that moment, I would not be shocked if they weren't sitting there going, which one? Because yes, you could go and draft that wide receiver right there. You could. We have depth. We have a good wide receiver room for the most part. Needs a little fine tuning in some places. You might not have that X factor just yet. But at the same time, what do we need most? What are we going to have as far as tight end goes on this team this next year? Maybe one of the guys that's been there, maybe, and that would be Adam Troutman
under contract. Yeah. That's it, pretty much.
Lucas Kroll, he's gone. I promise you.
Whoopee, and he's nothing. And other than the best player on the roster, according to Cecil Lammy.
Yeah. Okay. And who else was in that room? It was Troutman, Kroll, and who?
I mean,
I can't even remember who it was.
I don't even remember either.
He caught some catches, he caught some passes, but nothing special. Okay, for me, even if both those guys, if both Luther Burden and Colston Loveland were available at 20, thank you, Ray Hatz. Ray Hatz in the house, popping in, saying Nate Adkins. Yes.
Nate Adkins. He's a hybrid, fullback, tight end, whatever you want to, call him.
Yeah, no, he gone too. Okay. Like there's likely going to be one tight end left in that room, and that's Adam Troutman. And he is not all the respect to the guy, not the difference maker in the tight end room. So what I'm saying here is, even if Luther Burden fell to 20, or one of these other guys, the McMillans of Arizona, fell to 20, I would honestly hope, I'll say that, I would hope that George Payton and Sean Payton would take a moment and be like, do we want to go for the wide receiver, or do we want to round out our tight end room with a difference maker? And for me, the answer to that question is a non-issue. It's not even a debate. It's fill up that it's tight end.
Yep. I would agree. And hey, I know the Saints are picking a tight end, and that's where Warren has been mocked for a long time. And if somebody else jumps up and takes Loveland above, and Loveland and Warren are gone, and we don't have the option for a tight end there, I still don't want a running back. And that is the only situation where I will play the game of like, all right, defensive lineman, let's go. Safety, which there's been more safety mocks to the Broncos than I am comfortable with. I'm very surprised. Hey. Malachi Sparks from Georgia, I believe, has been mocked multiple times for the Broncos. The PJ Locke replacement. I get it. I get why. But I just, I guess I don't know the depth in the draft of safeties, honestly,
I still believe that we will address safety and free agency. Like
I would agree as well.
I had that entire segment where I talked about Hufanga.
San Francisco.
From San Francisco. I would love Hufanga to come in. And even though I've had people come at me about that discussion.
John Holland.
He's a strong safety, not a free safety.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. He can play both, believe me. So I think that we'll address that, but I also think, even though we've said that we will more heavily address defense in free agency and more offense more heavily in the draft, you don't leave the draft without drafting at least one defensive player, if not two.
I would agree.
6 picks. We have 6 picks in this draft right now. Obviously, some things can change. Trades can happen and more darts can be acquired. That happens. Right now, we have 6 picks in this draft. I would venture to say, for the future of your team, you draft at least 2 defensive players of those 6.
Honestly, in the scenario I spilled out of that Loveland and Warren are gone,
yeah,
I would trade back. If you can trade back, that's the most ideal thing in the world, is to trade back to
the low 20s.
Get an extra third. Man, get an extra third. That would be ideal. The best case scenario for the Broncos is to get an extra third.
Trade back to 27, 28, somewhere around there.
Somebody that wants to go up and get like an offensive tackle or go get, a position that we don't want or don't need.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right. Obviously, if a guy that can make a difference for this team is available at 20, keep it. But, don't be. I would not be surprised if those guys are off the board, like you just said, and we don't trade back to the late 20s, for a third, because that it would be worth a third to a team
for sure.
To jump up 7, 6, 7 spaces in the first round.
Their guy,
and to get their guy, we get whoever we decide to go for at the end of the first round there, and dude, a third round pick, an extra third round pick, that's another premium pick. That's the first 3 days, the first 3 rounds, that's premium rounds, man. So I would not be against that in the least. Yep. In the least.
That would be honestly my best case scenario. I really would be, is to get that extra third from a trade down. If Warren is gone, if Loveland is gone, I would even if Ashton Genty's on the board, I would trade down. I know that's blasphemy, and there's so many people higher on Ashton Genty than me. I don't.
He's
see
a great running back. He's a great running back. I am not spending, or I get it. It's not my choice, but if it were me, I am not spending my first round pick on a running back, on any running back.
He's not so much better than Caleb Johnson. He's not so much better than Omarion Hampton. He's not that much better, in my opinion.
Devin Neal or any of these guys.
Henderson,
they're all great. Henderson, yes, they're all great, but you can get them later. Nope, not happening.
Not for us.
Last topic. I kind of want to hit on it. This was an article. I believe it was CBS Sports. Kerr. The author's name is Jim Kerr, I believe. Wrote this article, and he basically stated that he foresees the Broncos taking a step back in 2025. He laid out a lot of things. He throws some massive respect on Sean Payton and Bo Nix for what they did during a rookie QB season, during what was considered to be a rebuild year, that we were slammed with the biggest, a huge dead cap, all that. He did throw some pretty awesome respect there, but at the same time he talked about the Chiefs, the Chargers, the Bengals, some other teams in the AFC, saying how he does not see the Broncos being able to replicate what they did this season and turn it into a back-to-back playoff berth. So what, Jay, what would you say to that? Do you agree? Do you disagree? What do you think?
I mean, this, again, it's not going to make anyone happy, but I would actually probably agree with that, to be quite honest with you. There is such thing as a sophomore slump. It's the same thing we're going to talk about with Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels is not going to have the same rookie season as he just had in his sophomore season. It is going to be a regress back to the mean, as they say in analytics. We were originally forecasted to be 5.5. We ended up with 10.
10.
There's the trueness is somewhere in the middle, and so depending on where that line opens up in preseason for us, I would imagine it's probably going to be right around 7. Is what I would imagine the over/under for us will be next year.
7 or 8. 7 or 8.
Probably. I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that. I don't know if we're going to win 10 games again. There's also an element to the surprise of Bo Nix that Bo Nix had on defensive coordinators coming out last year. Nobody, including Sean Payton, who effing drafted him, understood how athletic Bo Nix was in a mobility sense. And that is a huge aspect to game planning for a quarterback, to if you need to have a spy on him, or if you can just say, oh, who cares? Like, that quarterback ain't going to run on you, so you can play man. You can play, zone to not account for the quarterback. Everyone knows now you need to account for Bo Nix. So It's small little things that will add up in a long-term sense for the season to say, 10 wins is probably lofty for this next team.
All right. So you're playing devil's advocate in this.
Yeah.
Real quick, Broncos saying that's some serious witchcraft. I agree with you, Bonkers. So I'm going to go the other direction, Jay. I disagree with him.
Ooh.
I do.
Ooh.
Now, I'm not saying that we're going to win 10 games handily. Okay, I'm not saying that. The AFC is what the NFC used to be. The AFC is a juggernaut, and it is not easy to get through. However, I want to point out one fact that he didn't even address in his article, and that's how many games that we lost this season by 1 score or less.
That's true. You're very right.
And I mean, and it was by the skin of our teeth that we lost several of those games.
Kansas City.
I mean, that's just one example of it. That's just one example of a loss that we took that was by inches. It was by the skin of our teeth, so to speak. So he didn't even address that in his article when he stated this. That he thinks the Broncos are going to take a step back. But I'm looking at this and I'm going, okay, I understand that. Yes, like to your point, Jay, teams now understand better how to game plan for our quarterback. But again, one thing that we did see about Bo Nix, while I completely agree with you, Jay, that there is a such thing as a sophomore slump.
There is.
I think the truly great quarterbacks, guys like Patrick Mahomes, guys who live, eat, breathe, just exist for the game, which we know from interviews with the players, from interviews with the coaches, from even guys, even members of Denver media that have been in the building talking about the work ethic of Bo Nix during the season, before the season, all of it. I believe he can continue to, maintain and take a step forward. I'm not saying he's going to be get rookie of the year, or not rookie, but offensive player of the year or anything like that. But I believe he can take that step. He can take a step forward. But with how many games this season the Broncos were able to lose by one score, by a field goal in most cases, in fact, not even a touchdown, by a field goal. I think with another year of this team working under Sean Payton and building upon it, adding some boon to the places where we had weaknesses this year, I think we can do it. So that's just me, man.
Let me add a couple other anecdotes to your point, and I'll flip my stance here. I just looked this up, but you realize that the Thursday night game at New Orleans, which was the hello, Bo Nix, we're going to give you the full playbook. Finally.
Yeah, that was the coming out game for Bo Nix.
Week 7.
Yeah.
So imagine 6 more games of Bo Nix actually playing Bo Nix, like full slate football in a season.
And that's what I'm saying. Like you can almost take those first 4 games where he was still fine. The first 4 for sure, except maybe the Tampa Bay game, and you can almost count them as outliers.
Yeah,
because he was still learning what it even meant to be an NFL quarterback at that point.
At the end of the Seattle game 1 and the second game Pittsburgh at home, we all were like, "Oh crap, is this guy it?" Like, oh no, oh no.
Like, we're not wondering that anymore, though, are we, Jay?
Well, obviously not.
No.
Life is far different, but like that just goes to show how different play calling was and like where we are.
I thought you said go, Bo, go.
So maybe you're right. Give him an extra 6 weeks on a season. I mean, maybe Bo figures it out. He hasn't faulted us yet. I mean,
all the respect to Jim Kerr. He's an amazing reporter. I love his articles and I follow them, and but I honestly, with this one, Jay, you said you agreed with him. Did you say you were flipping?
No, I will keep it because I will say also in the same breath, even if Bo Nix is better, our defense, the chances of staying at the same top tier defense, leading the NFL in sacks and pressures another year, probably unlikely. I would say our defense will take a step back because it ain't no way we're repeating that feat. Like, we had a historic, like 2015-esque defensive performance from the Broncos this last year. Don't get it twisted. That's why we won 10 games. It ain't because of our offense lighting it on fire. Like,
let me ask you one thing, though, on that note, in that vein, Jay, who are we losing possibly or for sure losing defensively this season? Okay, we've lost our linebackers, except Alex Singleton, but we don't know where that's going to go. Let's be honest there. DJ Jones has not been the difference maker we hoped he would be coming in. He's going. He's a free agent. And we're losing PJ Locke, who, let's be honest, wasn't that big of a difference maker.
Well, I see where you're going. And my response to that would be, next year, we will not be the unanimous crush, as John Gruden
anonymous
stated.
Crush.
That's gone. Everyone knows. Everybody knows now. Like, the cat's out of the bag. Nick Bonino, everybody knows. Like, we got to fly under the radar last year because we were predicted to be a 5-win team. We were supposed to suck. Nobody knew who we were. Nobody gave us any shot. Game planning wise, it's just a different thing. Going into next year, people are going to take us a hell of a lot more serious. Like,
and I don't disagree with you there, but I am saying that skill set is still skill set.
You're right. You're right.
I mean, look just as an example. Okay, we have 2 Pro Bowlers on our defense this year.
PS2 ain't changing. He's only getting better.
PS2 ain't changing. He's only getting better. Nick
You're
Bonino, I don't foresee him taking a step back.
I hope not. I hope not.
No.
I want the guy to get the bag.
I'm not saying
Let him get
I'm
paid.
not saying it's not possible that the Broncos take that step back that Jim Kerr is predicting, but I am saying I'm gonna err on the side of fandom with this one of my Broncos and say I think we can pull it off again.
I hope because our team starts and ends with our defense. I think at the end of the day.
It does. But now it's also starting and ending with Bo Nix. So
that's the transition. Let's see it. I want to see it. We got to see it.
Me too. Well, with that note, guys, thank you for joining us again for another episode of the Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue podcast here on the Orange and Blue Network and on the MHRT Network. If you have not already, please jump on over, like, subscribe, share, comment on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. Check out the Orange and Blue Network's audio podcast on all your favorite platforms. Hit that thumbs up, subscribe, ding that little notification bell so that you know when we go live and you don't miss any of our awesome content. Don't forget we have we have Broncos Talk tomorrow night. There you go, Jay. It does not fit you. Don't forget we have Broncos Talk tomorrow on Wednesday nights at 6 Mountain. Do not forget that if you're Spanish speaking, we have Viva los Broncos on Fridays, also at 6 Mountain. We appreciate you guys for joining us for those as well. If you have not already, jump on over to our partner where we're simulcast on MHRT Network. Like, subscribe, share, comment on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, and even on Instagram.
Bruh.
We appreciate all the support you guys give. We love all of you very, very much. And we could not continue to do this without you guys. So thank you for being with us. We're going to continue to bring you awesome discussions, awesome content all off season, leading all the way up to the draft through free agency, the draft. Thank you, bro. That's a new name, Jay. Thank you. Coming in at the 11th hour, Broncos fan for life. Have a good night, Broncos country. Have a good night, Broncos fan for life. Cheers. Here's to you, and welcome to the Orange and Blue crew. We appreciate it. We're going to be continuing here, bringing you all the same awesome content, all the way through free agency, through the draft, through mini camp, through the summer, through training camp, all the way into the preseason. We go year round, guys. You don't want to miss any of it. We have a lot of fun. We always try to make every single episode feel like you're tailgating and hanging out.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
Your favorite team with your best friends. That's our goal. So please make sure that you're joining us next week. All right. We thank you, Broncos country. Jay, do you have any final thoughts before we roll out tonight?
No matter who wins on Thursday night, I'm going to be happy. Go Canada, go USA.
You be careful there, buddy. Anyway. You know what? If I hear that again, I might end up like sending you your revocation of citizenship.
Are you going to be upset that Nathan McKinnon gets a Hattie on a championship game?
Of course not.
Of course you're not.
Of course not for Nathan McKinnon, but go USA. All right, guys, we're out of here. Go Broncos, and we'll see you next week. Mile high salute, baby. We're out.
Orange and blue, we're here for you. Talking Broncos all day through. No stopping us, we're on the loose. Come join the crew, no bad news. Podcast vibes so fresh and true. Nothing rhymes with orange and blue. Catching up on all that we knew. Hit play, let the episodes accrue. Nothing rhymes with